Hi, my name is Shane. I use she and her pronouns, and this is the first of two sessions playing the Delta Green adventure Music from a Darkened Room using the rules from Brandon Leon Gambetta's telenovela game Pasión de las Pasiones for a game of soapy, melodramatic cosmic horror. This game was organised as part of the Gauntlet gaming calendar. The Gauntlet is an online community that plays and discusses a whole range of story games, indie games, and OSR games. If you'd like to find out more, or especially if you'd like to come and play some games with us, please check out gauntlet-rpg.com. I'll put a link in the YouTube description, show notes. Also coming up at the end of June, we have one of our semi-regular Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekends, where a bunch of Gauntlet GMs will run one-shots and two-shots, so short games, all using safety tools and running under the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct. And that will be a great opportunity if you want to try out some Gauntlet games, want to see if you like playing with us, decide if you want to play some more. And if this game today goes well, then I think I might run another Pasiones X Delta Green hybrid game there. So if you like this, well, there may be further opportunities. On that note, I'll ask my players to introduce themselves. So if you just want to tell us your name, pronouns, anything that you want to say about yourselves, and it'll help me if I just hear a bit specifically about how familiar you are with the two games that we're drawing on here, so Pasiones as well as Delta Green. And we'll go around the order that I can see you on my screen. So Puckett, do you want to go first?
Hi there, I am Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. Tonight is a quite delightful experience because for the first time in a year and a half, I will be playing in a Pasiones game instead of running on average at least one Pasiones game per week. So I'm pretty familiar with it. I just took a look at the email and it looks like there's only one change. It looks like there's a couple of tweaks to the Ladonia playbook. So I'm a little familiar. As far as Delta Green goes, Dennis has been running a Delta Green boot camp to get a bunch of GMs up to speed to run a shared world Delta Green series, campaign world series. Dennis can explain it better, I'm sure. But so I'm passingly familiar with Delta Green as well, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome, Dennis.
Okay, I am Dennis. I go by he, him. I have been running and playing RPGs probably longer than a lot of the people around here have been alive. So I am the original old school gamer. I have been running Delta Green for a very long time. I have actually run games for and helped playtest the new Delta Green for Art Dream, so I consider myself extremely familiar with Delta Green itself. As far as Pasión de las Pasiones goes, well, I've read the quick start. So we're going to see how this goes.
Great. Well, I am definitely not at all intimidated by running for the Gauntlet's most experienced Delta Green GM and most experienced Pasiones GM at the same time. I'm sure that will be great. John?
And then there's me. Hi, I'm John. I use he, him pronouns. I have played in a Pasiones game. It was run by Puckett. I have almost no knowledge of Delta Green. I have heard of it as a game. From what I know, it's supposed to be mostly horror, I think. I'm not sure. That's about all I can tell you about it. But I did just finish reading Mexican Gothic, so I'm very ready for beautiful people in scary situations.
That's great. Did you enjoy Mexican Gothic?
I really liked it. It was very good. Great.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I'm going to start just with a quick CATS procedure, so talking about concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. Let's see. Concept. The kind of meta concept for this game is that you are all characters in a, reasonably long-running telenovela that has run into ratings trouble. Like, people just aren't tuning in like they used to. And someone at the network has had the bright idea that we can revive the ratings, or at least try to, by moving the entire cast from their regular sort of shenanigans to a secret government conspiracy that investigates the supernatural. Your characters are all profoundly unsuited to this role, but going to throw yourselves into it with the same sort of enthusiasm and vivaciousness that you bring to all the usual drama on the show. Obviously, using the rules for Pasiones to play a cosmic horror game involves some rough edges. I expect there's going to be times when we kind of bump up against places where the rules don't quite do what we want. We're just going to ride through that. We're not going to let it stress us out too much. That's the plan anyway. I'll talk some more about some specific rule stuff, how we're going to use the rules, how we're going to make them work a bit later. Aim-wise, let's see. Today we'll finish up this introduction, we'll make characters, and we'll get playing. We'll take breaks roughly on the hour, just a short break. We have 2 sessions for this game, and the adventure music from A Darkened Room has significantly more material than we could plausibly fit into 2 sessions. So we'll see how we go. But my intention is that potentially I'll be framing pretty hard to get us to the like meaty stuff at the start of the next session if we haven't sort of arrived there organically. Maybe we'll skip a couple of episodes of the telenovela just to get to the real good stuff. Tone. So the tone that I think we are aiming for in this game is this kind of deliberately awkward balance between melodrama and terror. And I'm going to aim to keep both those things in tension all the time and not push too far into one at the expense of the other. I encourage you all to do the same, especially in the sense that Pasiones gives players quite a lot of narrative authority. So when you're looking at things like, revealing a crucial event that's happening out of view, or, one of those other things where you get to define something about the game world, I'd like you to try and maintain those tones. Like, think about those tones in terms of what you introduce. Subject matter-wise, Delta Green is a horror game. It includes violence and gore. The kind of central premise is that you are forced to do terrible things to save the public, both from the supernatural and from knowledge of the supernatural, all kinds of horrible moral compromises and things like that. Music from A Darkened Room in particular includes references to suicide or apparent suicide, harm to children, historical anti-Italian prejudice, human and animal sacrifice, and potential loss of agency for the characters. On the other hand, Pasiones is a game substantially driven by romance, romantic entanglements, and complications. So those are the kind of 2 prongs of things that I would want you to be aware of going into the game. If any of that's going to be uncomfortable for you, we're just about to go into lines and veils, and we can definitely work around that material. So that said, I will get you to open up the character keeper and just navigate to the lines and veils tab. I see that someone's already started filling that in, but just to be clear, you'll see there's lists there for lines, veils, and ask first, checkboxes. A line is a topic that is just not going to come up in the game. We're not going to deal with it at all. A veil is a topic that may be mentioned in the game, but it's not something that we're going to focus on. We're just going to pass over it quickly or fade to black. And ask first obviously means that if it's going to come up in the game, we'll check in with the players and just contextualize it a bit and make sure people are happy with it. So I'll give you all a minute to go through and just add anything you want there. Sorry, I should also draw your attention to the romance grid on the right-hand side of that tab, where you can indicate whether you are comfortable with romantic interactions with other PCs or NPCs. And when you're happy with the lines and veils tab, when you've added everything that you'd like to add, if you could just type OK in the chat so I know that you're done.
And just to confirm, this is a soap opera that's now become sort of a reality TV show like Ghost Hunters?
Oh, I think of it more like a soap opera that's taken this sharp X-Files turn.
Okay.
So still fictional. You're still characters in the same fictional universe that you've always been part
Gotcha.
of, but you've been recruited by this conspiracy within the government.
So
Gotcha.
Baywatch becoming Baywatch Nights.
I honestly wish I was familiar enough with that reference to get what you're saying, but that sounds right. The Halloween
Baywatch
special
was
is
an
a great way to
American
look at it.
TV show, and I'm sure Puckett and John know this one.
Yeah.
I do remember Baywatch. I just don't remember Baywatch Nights. Sounds
Baywatch
incredible.
Nights, David Hasselhoff's character became a private detective, and they started investigating things like vampires and werewolves.
If anyone is looking for their own Brindlewood Bay hack, that sounds absolutely incredible. I'm gonna have to check out Baywatch Nights. All right.
Bathing suits plus urban shadows. God.
Oh my god. So I'm just going to read through our list of lines and veils so that we're all on the same page. For lines, we have harm to animals, harm to children, racism, sexual assault, homophobia, suicide, torture. Sorry, I think I missed something when I was scrolling there. Apologies. Just bear with me for a sec. Oops. So for lines, I'll try this again. We have harm to animal and children, racism, sexual assault, homophobia, someone seducing someone while disguised as another player, sexism, transphobia, graphic descriptions of intentionally inflicted head trauma. And for veils, we have sexual content, suicide, torture. I think that's all our veils. Can I just ask, by way of clarification, someone has put a line on graphic descriptions of intentionally inflicted head trauma.
I gotcha.
That's totally fine. Does that include trauma to the throat?
No.
Okay.
That would be like graphically describing going after somebody's head with the business end of a claw hammer.
All right. Yeah.
So like a quick bonk over the head, like in Bill and Ted's, that knocks somebody out is totally okay. But just like talking about how you like squeeze somebody's skull until it cracks in your hands is
sure.
Not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for that. All right, so we're also going to use some other safety tools. We're also going to be using the X card. So if anything comes up in the game that you're not comfortable with or that doesn't feel fun for you for any reason, you can just say the word X, type an X in the chat, make an X with your hands if you're on the screen, whatever you want to do to signal that X, and we'll just remove that content and go on without it. That absolutely includes things that were previously okay for you in the game, so don't feel like, because you've let something go a few times and now it's starting to bother you, you are still welcome to X-card it. We all want to make sure the game is safe and fun for everyone who's playing. We're also going to be using the open door, meaning anytime you need to leave, whether that's for a brief break or just because this isn't the game that you want to be playing, that's totally fine. We'll all appreciate it if you let us know why, whether you'll be back. But if you just need to leave, that's totally fine. We're also going to be running the game under the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct, which I assume you're all familiar with. And when we talk about safety tools, I just like to emphasize that we're all responsible for safety at the table. So I'm going to be mindful of all of the things that we've talked about, all of the lines and veils, but it's all of our jobs to make sure that those lines and veils are respected. If you notice that we're getting close to a topic that could be a line or a veil or that could be uncomfortable for anyone, it's always welcome to check in to remind us that that's on the list or something like that. And in particular, I often won't be watching the video stream when I'm running a game. So if someone does make a visual X where they type or gesture or anything like that, if someone else can verbalize that so I know, that would be really helpful for me. So that's all that I have by way of introduction. Is there any questions about any of that before we move into rules and character creation? All right. So I do just want to talk a little bit about the rules before we make characters. So I thought a lot about whether to add some custom moves to the game for today to cover some of the stuff that is more common in Delta Green and less common in Pasiones. Ultimately, I decided not to do that exactly. So the two things that I wanted to talk about were investigation and violence, basically. So Delta Green is largely an investigative game about agents of a conspiracy trying to uncover supernatural phenomenons. Pasiones doesn't really have investigation mechanics. There is a basic move called Spot Something Out of Place, but that's a little more specific. Instead of having a move for this, I'm just going to use an approach that I kind of inspired by Gumshoe and Cthulhu Dark. If you look for a clue in a location, you will find the clue. You will always find the clue. I don't think the interesting part of this game is whether or not you find clues. So we're just going to keep the game moving and you'll always find the clue in the way that you're looking for. The other thing is violence. Delta Green agents are armed. They often have to fight things in ways that go well beyond the strike out at someone move from Pasiones. So again, inspired by Cthulhu Dark, the rule will be that if you fight a mythos creature, you die. Nice and simple. Conversely, I think that your characters will all be armed in this. If you don't want them to be, that's okay. But if you decide to use your weapons against civilians, against someone who's not a mythos creature, then you will just kill them. We're not really interested in violence. Like, that's not the focus. It is in some Delta Green games, but not really in this one that we're running today. Any questions about that or anything else in the rules that you'd like to know before you start making your characters?
So if we use our weapons against a civilian, against a non-mythos, against a non-mythos creature, they just die. Do we take a condition or no?
I think in most cases you will take a condition. You definitely can expect complications if you start killing civilians of all kinds. But mechanically, you can use your weapon to cause harm to someone, and that's not going to be something that we roll for or have other mechanics around.
So it's basically an automatic 7 to 9 on strikeout.
That sounds right, yeah.
Okay.
How are you handling sanity mechanics?
So there's no sanity mechanic in this game. You have conditions. When you mark all of your conditions, you're at risk of a meltdown, and that's essentially the closest that we're going to get to a sanity mechanic.
So if we encounter something unnatural or unnerving, will we be taking conditions as a result of that as well?
Not necessarily, not intrinsically, but it's quite likely that you might, yes.
Okay.
Obviously, we can talk more about the rules as we get into the game. Anything else that anyone wants to ask before we do characters? All right, I'll assume that we're good to go then. So there was already some discussion about what playbooks people want. I think that everyone has pretty much decided that. So the character keeper, it should be pretty straightforward to build your character out once you've decided on your playbook. What's the tab called? Playbook Moves tab will show you the moves that you can choose for your character. It'll tell you how many of them that you should choose. And yeah, just start putting it together, making the choices in your playbook, and feel free to ask any questions as you go. Is everyone ready? Looks like.
Yeah, sorry, I just saw I was muted. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'm good.
No, that's all right. Sorry. Okay, well, we will just go around then, and I'll get you each to introduce your characters, and then we'll go back around and do our relationship questions and sort of fill out some of the moves that need filling out. So, John, we'll just go left to right across the character keeper. So do you want to introduce Veronica?
Yeah. So I will be playing Veronica, who's the she, her pronouns. And Veronica is the La Belleza playbook. So the description for that is graceful and unattainable. You set hearts ablaze with need. So her look is as a woman with voluminous hair, deep eyes, and designer clothes. And I think we'll flesh more out about her as we get into it. But basically, the idea, right, is Veronica is like a very desirable woman who probably is also very fickle with people, right? Hot one minute, cold another. And so I specifically took the Ice Queen move of when you reject someone immediately after expressing your love passionately, clear a condition or inflict a condition on them. And then I took a move called Hard to Pin Down that lets me interfere when someone expresses their love to me, accuses me of lying, or tries to spot something out of place.
Cool. Sounds great. Pocket, do you want to introduce Esme?
So I'll be playing Esme Casillas. And Esme was, I only say was because her employer is, well, the person she was working for is now deceased. She was reporting to a cartel boss who was killed by something. She still can't process all of it, but she's aware that there are bigger and badder things out there, although she doesn't know what they are or how to fight them. So she's kind of done the best that she can given the environment she was working in. You'll notice in her picture, she's not actually holding the pistol in a two-handed grip. She's instead using her arm, which is holding a knife, as a brace to put the gun over. And she's trying. She's really trying because she wants to protect people and keep them safe, but she's just in way over her head.
Yeah, I feel like the Empleado is almost the power gaming playbook to choose in this game because she's inevitably always over her head, which I love.
You're almost always rolling with at least +1.
Yeah. Great. Do you want to talk about the moves that Esme has?
I selected Keys to the Castle because it is probably the most ridiculously overpowered move in the game. It allows me to reveal that I have secretly been listening to an entire conversations, and I roll with the questions: do I work here, and am I dressed to blend in? So the answer to those is probably no, but anyway, it lets me listen to a conversation. On a 7 to 9, I get away, but somebody saw me. On a 10+, I get away without being spotted, or I get to kind of bust in and ask a follow-up question, let him know that I caught him out on it. And on a miss, I stumble, knock something over, or reveal myself, and I'm in the thick of it. The other move I picked is Confession. And when I tell somebody of the things that I think I've done wrong, or basically when I bare my soul, I roll with the questions: do you view with the other as pure of heart? Do you invoke religion or family? On a hit, my soul is lightened. I clear a condition. On a 7 to 9, they also gain direct evidence of my wrongdoings or clear a condition themselves. And on a miss, the worst possible person hears me. And I took that just to kind of get it a little bit closer to the Delta Green mechanics and like the anchors. So,
Cool. All right, and Dennis, tell us about Ronaldo.
Okay, I am playing El Caballero, the gentleman. I am steadfast and principled. You right the wrongs of your past. I am playing Ronaldo. Ronaldo needs no other name because everyone knows Ronaldo. The women see him on the street and they are in awe. The men see him and they are of envy or perhaps fear. They know that when Ronaldo speaks, he speaks with truth. When he loves with passion. When he fights for justice. Specifically, like I said, I am principled. I'm trying to right the wrongs of my past. My question is, are you handling things without guile and head-on? And the moves I took were take a stand. When you step in to defend someone, you roll with the questions, are you trying to impress them, or is the law being broken? And my other move is size up. When you try to spot something out of place, I get to ask several questions. Where is the nearest weapon? What are they trying to hide? And what is their way out? And I get that even on a miss.
Great. So the next thing that we're going to do is go around for the relationship questions. So you'll see on your column in the character keeper, you each have a set of 2 relationship questions just under your meltdown. Each one has a blank in it. So again, we'll just go left to right across the character keeper, and I'll get you to just choose one of those questions, talk about who you think might be a good fit, and just make sure that's okay with the other player. And we'll go through twice, so you each get sort of one turn at a time. So, John, what's Veronica's first relationship question going to be?
So my first one is, blank has been a source of entertainment and flirtation kept at arm's length. I think this might be Esme. I think there is, this little spark between them, perhaps. And sorry, I wanted to clarify one thing. We're specifically approaching this as we're the characters of a show, right? And so we've kind of got that meta knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And so
at times you'll approach it from the point of view of the audience, but for the most part, you are the characters in the show.
right. So yeah, I was going to suggest that maybe too, audience testing has shown that the Veronica Esme pairing has great potential. What do you think, Puckett?
Oh, I think the audience totally ships it, and I think my reaction to all of it is, why do you toy with my heart so? Why do you always keep me at a distance? Why can't you ever truly open up yourself to me? Why can't you let me in? In other words, yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So what's Esme's first relationship going to be?
Oh, hell, this is a great question. Let's see. I need somebody who, my former employer is now dead. So would someone like to have hired me on as an employer, or hold influence? I might have joined some sort of unusual law enforcement agency, and perhaps you have contact with someone there who is a superior. Any ideas? Anybody want to step up and volunteer for that?
Well, I took on my last time on, what I selected was I agreed to work with the authorities to trick someone. So I'm at least. Pardon?
Were you trying to trick me?
I don't know who I'm trying to trick. That was my last time on.
Okay. Okay, let's go with that. And then that'll pin Veronica in as the first person who is nice to me.
All right. And Ronaldo, what's your first one going to be?
Well, my first relationship is the person who you go to when you're stuck and has seen your soft side. And I don't know, I kind of think that maybe Veronica, with her past, would have managed to get through Ronaldo's tough macho exterior and seen him at his most vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm sorry, my brain's just turning, so I'm thinking about possibilities of how they perhaps met, but we don't need to define that at the moment.
Yeah,
we did that 2 seasons ago. Remember, during the arc on the cruise ship?
Oh yeah, exactly.
The Lido deck. You remember the Lido deck, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Too many Mai Tais.
Well, margaritas are my weakness, but
All right, and let's go now back the other way. So we'll go right to left. So, Dennis, do you want to do Ronaldo's second relationship?
Okay, my second relationship is, this person knew me when I used to get into trouble and has seen my hard side. And given that I may or may not be tricking her, I guess this has to be Esme.
I mean, if you don't mind, you're all about principle and justice now, correct?
Of course.
Was there ever a time when you weren't?
That's the wrongs of the past I am attempting to right.
So were you working with the cartel that I was formerly employed by, or were you working for a rival cartel, or were you a cop trying to bring them down by any means necessary, legal or not?
I was the cop who was working with the cartel.
Oh,
I was
you were the
looking
dirty
the other
cop.
way until I
Okay.
couldn't look away any longer.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely I think that we knew each other, and you probably knew that I was always I was just in a tough spot. I shouldn't have been there, but I didn't really have any other choices. But, on my way out, I grabbed a substantial amount of firearms.
Well, hey,
I mean, after what I
conversation.
saw, can you blame me?
Oh,
So, okay, yeah, that works.
okay.
And then Veronica, I think you were the first person who was nice to me, despite my humble beginnings. I came from pretty much nothing, which is how I wound up in the pickle that I was in.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wonder, we've got this like brewing fiction around the cartel and the authorities and such. I almost feel like Veronica is probably, like the wife or significant other of someone from the cartel. And so when you were first coming, getting introduced to them, she helped get you integrated with the group. How does that sound?
Was this back when I was still wearing glasses? Before I took them off so everybody could see that I'm actually just like stunningly beautiful, because somehow glasses like concealed that?
You have to take the glasses off and let your hair down.
Oh yeah, there was a whole like makeover scene, right? Where I feel like Veronica probably like sat you down. It's like, okay, we have to, look, you've got great. Oh my gosh, your skin is so nice. But if we just take these off,
yeah, and the cheekbones, and then like unpin the hair, and then suddenly somehow in this 30-second montage, I go from being like a nerdy girl completely out of place to basically a glam model. Okay. Yeah, that works.
And I think that just leaves me. So Ronaldo is the person I go to when I'm truly ready to cut loose. Sounds like, we met on this cruise, but have perhaps had a continuing rendezvous, maybe outside the, gaze of others. I imagine maybe it's not something we can openly do, right?
Remember, when Ronaldo loves, he loves with passion. Am I doing this right?
You're doing fantastic.
Yeah. So the next thing, the last thing I think we need to do to make characters is, Puckett, just for you to define your suitors and your love.
I mean, there's really only two options for suitors.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's basically, as far as I know, and let me check the Lines and Veils tab. Yeah, we're all open to relationships or romance with PCs and NPCs. So it seems logical that Ronaldo and Veronica would be my two suitors. Do either of you have a preference as to who at this moment would be my love, like the person that I am most...
Well, I think we just established that Veronica and Ronaldo have something going on in the background.
Okay.
So,
yeah, with that, so we can say Veronica and Esme,
okay,
are the ostensibly a couple, or suiting each other.
That works for me. And then Shane, did you want to do the last time on thing or no?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that. I don't think it's very likely to come up in play, but it kind of helps us contextualize a little bit where the characters are at.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dennis, you already mentioned that you chose your last time on.
Yeah, I picked the you agreed to work with the authorities to trick someone, which I figured might work given that we were going into a this new direction the series is taking.
Yeah, that's cool. I can work with that. What was Esme doing last time on?
Is this the first episode of a new season?
I think it could be, yeah.
Because you mentioned a new direction. So I'm looking at you witnessed something horrible but don't know who did it. But I think it's more like I witnessed something horrible but don't know what did it. And that was in the season finale of the previous season. Does that sound good for you?
Yeah.
So, I saw, the cartel boss killed in a completely inexplicable way.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and maybe there was a strange symbol that you saw that was associated with whatever did it, something that you've never seen before and still haven't been able to quite explain or account for.
Works for me.
Great.
If it's okay with you, I'd kind of like to start off with a condition marked.
Of course. What condition do you want to start out with?
Cornered.
Nice. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That's great. All right. And what was Veronica doing last time on?
I think, just before the shift in direction and the end of the last season, right? The series ended with this cliffhanger, and we see Veronica driving in her nice car on a late night, the moon reflecting off of a puddle in the street, and there's a flash of light that comes from this house, like up on a hill or wherever it is, and Veronica veers and crashes into the ditch off the side of the road. And it's just, totally knocked off of her senses and dazed and confused from it. So I slammed my beautiful shiny car into something.
It's a shame. All right. So, I mean, with this story that's kind of come out about the cartel that you were all mixed up with, I think maybe the narrative setup is that, the authorities busted this cartel. Maybe to some extent, some of you cooperated with that, but also all of you were implicated more or less directly in some of the cartel's crimes. And the offer that's been put to you is that if you help out the government with this thing, the other thing will just sort of go away for you. So you're facing very significant prison sentences unless you cooperate with the conspiracy and try and solve this case that they're going to put to you. How does that sound for everyone?
That sounds amazing.
All right. Well, I think we're ready to go, but let's just take our first break here and we'll come back about 5 minutes past the hour, if that's good for everyone.
Sorry about that. Tea always takes a minute longer than I think it will.
Yes, I know the feeling well. I've figured that 10 minutes is the exact amount of time it takes me to run downstairs and make a coffee and get back. All right, is everyone good to start the game?
Yep.
All right. So you have all been summoned to a meeting with Case Officer Warren. This is the man who says that he can make everything go away, clean your records, as long as you do him this one small favor. The meeting takes place in a small sort of soundproof office room out the back of a shop front in a strip mall. There are people renovating that room in the front, but as you push through the empty storefront, you can't help but notice that the men in overalls who appear to be regular sort of contract workers painting the walls all carry guns on their hips and seem to be perhaps agents of some kind. They vaguely look up as you come through, but if they recognize you or perhaps they seem to expect you. Which of you arrives first for the briefing?
Probably me, because we've established that he was a police officer at some point, so he probably still has some concept of protocol and that sort of thing.
All right. And then, Veronica, I feel like maybe you arrive next. You come in through that front room.
I was going to say, does Veronica and Esme arrive together?
Ah.
I think I came separately and got completely lost on my way.
So, Veronica and Ronaldo are perhaps waiting for quite a while before Esme shows up?
At least 15 to 20 minutes. And I just rush in. I'm flustered. I'm just stammering over my words, stumbling over them. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. There was traffic and I made the wrong turn, and then the map was wrong, and then I tried to make this other turn. I almost got in an accident on the freeway.
And you are here now. We are all, the three of us, together.
But I brought coffee and muffins.
Together.
And sure enough, I've got like a little cardboard tray with cups of coffee and like a bag of some muffins and a couple of other pastries.
Veronica, how do you react to Esme arriving at all?
I am just quiet, and I physically turn away from Esme and look to the door and just say, "Look, at least you made it. Let's just go inside. Let's just get this done with."
The sooner we're in, the sooner we're out, right?
Yes, but we must do this.
Still,
maybe we can put
a terrible idea.
Maybe they're telling the truth. Maybe this will let us put everything else behind us.
Yes, we will finally be rid of our past.
God, and I roll my eyes and just start walking forward.
All right. So you head on into the office or the meeting room. Case Officer Warren is this kind of lanky, middle-aged man with a slightly hunched posture. You can see that, just some slight alterations to the off-the-rack suit that he'd wearing would really, make him look quite sharp, but not quite there as it is. He glances at at the time on his phone as you all work in, and he says, "Well, I'm glad you made it. Take a seat. He's sitting at a desk at the front of the room. He has a kind of large manila folder in front of him that is full of papers, and you can see little post-it notes poking out all through it, all kinds of references and cross-references. Says, "All right, so you all understand the importance of why I've asked you all here today. Well, let's put it this way. You are all to investigate the death of FBI Special Agent Arthur Donnelly. Agent Donnelly died 2 weeks ago. The official cause of death listed as suicide. We worked very hard to make sure that was the officially listed cause of death. But we need you to find out the actual cause of Agent Donnelly's death. We are concerned because the place that he died, a house at 1206 Spooner Avenue in Meadowbrook, New Jersey, is a location of interest to our project. We've had our eyes on it for a while. Agent Donnelly was a veteran of our program. He should not have been at that location without engaging certain protocols, informing certain superiors, and he did not do those things. That is very unlike Agent Donnelly. So as I say, your job now is to determine the cause of Agent Donnelly's death. in particular to focus your attention on the house at 1206 Spooner Avenue and determine whether it represents a kind of ongoing threat to the public. If so, if it does, you will eliminate that threat.
I think Veronica's eyebrow just raises and just like, eliminate a house?
I didn't say eliminate the house, Veronica. I said eliminate the threat. You want to determine whether the house represents a threat. If it does, you are to eliminate that threat. Am I clear?
As mud.
What can you tell us about this house? Is anyone living there? Is someone operating out of there? What is suspicious about this house?
So he opens the large manila folder in front of him and he starts to flip through it. He says, since Agent Donnelly's death, the house has remained unoccupied. As to the basis of our interest in the house, well, that information is classified.
So you can't tell us anything that may be of use. I mean, are there criminals operating out of it? Is it a drug den? Is it haunted?
He laughs along with you and he says, we have absolutely no reason to believe that there is any criminal activity associated with the house.
Then why is this house the center of this investigation? There must be something about it beyond the fact that this FBI agent went here. You said that you tried hard to make the cause of death be suicide. Was that not the true cause of death?
Ronaldo, do you want to roll to demand what you deserve at this point? Like, do you feel entitled to these answers?
Well, he's asking me, so yeah. Where do we go?
So there's a basic moves tab on the character keeper, and demand what you deserve is right there in the top left.
Yep, I see it.
So El Caballero always has the question, are you handling things head on and without guile?
Which I think I am.
Yeah. Are you offering something of value in return?
Well, I would say that they're asking us to go there, and I'm trying to get the information, but they kind of have us under, they kind of want us to be there too. So it's kind of the reverse. They're kind of offering us something, but.
Well, if that's a no, then that's okay. And I think it's pretty clearly a no on do they love you in this moment.
No, they don't, I'm sure. So,
so just rolling with +1. So 2d6 +1.
+1, okay. Okay, and let's see if this works. Okay, it gave me
So you didn't roll any dice there.
I thought I had rolled the dice. Okay, sorry.
That's right.
I have to tell it to roll a d6.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
So on a 10+, so you'll see on the basic move there's 3 options, and you can remove one of their options, and they choose from the remaining. What would you like to take away?
Well, I don't want them to run away.
All right. So I think he'll concede. You really butt heads. There's a visible tension in the room. Esme and Veronica, you both get this sense of these two kind of alpha male types, going at each other. And finally, he says, "Well, look, like I say, this information is classified, but what can I tell you? There's a long history of deaths, really, at the house at Spooner Avenue. Lots of them with perfectly ordinary, mundane explanations, but enough that people have started to talk. You use the words haunted. Well, haunted isn't a technical term. It's not something that I would a way that I would ever describe a house, but certainly the neighbors think that there may be an unnatural influence about that house.
So the house is a site of evil, is what you were saying.
He rolls his eyes a little. Again, evil is a value judgment. I would say that the house is suspected of a possible unnatural influence. That's as far as I would go.
Why don't you just demolish the house?
Well, it may well be that the conclusion of your investigation is that demolishing the house will eliminate the threat. And if that's the case, you are authorized to organize that work. The project historically has sometimes demolished houses that we identified as the location of an unnatural influence, and that has not always solved the problem. So we don't want to jump the gun, as it were.
What about the agent's family? I mean, usually when you classify a death as a suicide, then there's no insurance benefits paid out.
Agent Donnelly had no close family. He had an estranged ex-wife. He lived alone. He was very driven by his work. That's part of the reason it was so easy to make his death look like a suicide.
Sounds like he was very sad.
It may well be that he was merely a very sad man, in which case I'm sure this whole mission will be very simple for you all. Sorry, Dennis, I just want to make sure, do you feel like you got what you wanted out of your move there?
Yeah, sure. I wanted at least some information going in, because he said that, just the way he said, we made it look like a suicide meant that it was something else. I would like to know what he really died of, but was what I was really hoping to get out of it.
Yeah, so he can tell you specifically that he died of a slashing wound to the throat. No weapon was found, but in the absence of any evidence that would suggest, a perpetrator, it was ruled a suicide.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to slash your own throat without a weapon, though.
Case officer nods and says, "Yes, Mr. Ronaldo, that's correct. Mr. Ronaldo, Officer Ronaldo." I'm not sure how he would address you.
He's not an officer anymore. He was removed from the force, remember?
Right.
Okay, so we're supposed to go and investigate this house. So you're gonna give us some tools and stuff, right? I mean, on TV they've always got the little reader things for the ghost orbs and some sort of electric gun to trap them and stuff, right? I mean,
ghost orbs. I'm afraid that we're fresh out of ghost orbs this week, Veronica. We have sidearms for you all. We have provisional IDs. These won't stand up to close scrutiny, but we'll help you pass as law enforcement if that's what's required. Other than that, well, I mean, we all saw in the last few weeks how resourceful you all are. Think that you have more than enough resources to resolve this yourselves.
I mean, do we at least get per diem? I mean, what's our daily budget here? Are we going to be able to expense the dinners?
Your per diem is that you're not in jail right now.
Ronaldo, will you talk to him?
You see what I am carrying. You have given me a gun. You have given me a badge. Is this sufficient? Do you think we can resolve the mystery of the death of your hard-working agent who has dedicated himself to the cause? You said that yourself. Is this really all you can do to help your fallen colleague?
Yeah. So I think that he'll nod at you sagely and he'll say, "Look, don't worry."
Does that come under manipulator superior?
Oh yeah, okay. That totally makes sense. So, what are you wanting them to do specifically?
I'm trying to get them to give us some kind of resources besides, well, go figure it out, some equipment, money, something.
Some dinner money.
Veronica very focused on dinner money. I like it.
I can tell. Okay.
The standard of living.
All right. So I think that you are handling things head on and without guile.
Yeah.
Have you caught him in a good mood? I mean, it doesn't really seem like you have. Does your well-being directly affect his?
I would say yes, because he wants us to solve this, so
yeah, I buy that. So rolling at +2, I think.
Well, I had rolled at a +1 because I just hit my re-roll and I got an 11.
Nice. Excellent. So on a 12, on a hit, they give in to your wiles and agree to do it. So I think that he looks at his papers, he looks at his phone quickly, and says, look, fine. A modest per diem, that's fine. We have some, look, probably shouldn't do this. You're not really part of the program, but look, we have 2 contacts in Meadowbrook who might be able to help you out with some of this. There's an antiques dealer named Elizabeth Tucker. She's sometimes worked with the program. She might be able to help you out. And there's a parapsychologist at the local college, Emil Yarrow. He also has worked with us sometimes. He might be able to offer some insight and expertise. But he's clearly like a little exasperated at having been forced to produce this information. And he will turn to Esme and say, well, Miss Casillas, you've been very quiet. Do you have anything that you want to say?
You could treat us a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
You don't have to be so mean all the time. I know your job is hard, but you can still say please and thank you.
I think that he will be a little humbled by this. You hear the sound of crumpling paper as his fingers tighten. He says, "Yeah, you're right. Please, will you all just do this for me?"
I'll do my best.
All I'm asking.
We must avenge the death of this loyal agent so that his family and his spirit may be at rest.
All right. Is there anything else that anyone wants to ask the case officer, or are you going to start planning your investigation?
What kind of updates would you like? Do you want status reports or progress reports, or do you just want us to let you know when it's done?
Yeah, you don't contact me until this whole thing is wrapped up. Please.
Okay.
All right. So he will excuse himself, taking away his voluminous file, and the 3 of you are left to think about how you might want to approach this.
This whole thing is bullshit, right? I mean, this is like some practical joke that's all been set up for us. They want to, get a laugh out of us, make us run around, do some silly stuff. I mean, this can't be real, right? Right, Esme?
Veronica, you didn't see Jorge's body.
They are trying to get us to make a mistake so that we can reveal something to them. They think they can get something more out of us. This is just a game to them. We'll play this game.
And in the meantime, You're getting food and you've got a wardrobe budget? I mean,
It's the least they can do. But I think Ronaldo put it well. We'll play their game, and they'll see how good of players we can be.
I don't know how to play that game.
With your heart, Esme.
And I'm just going to look longingly at you.
Well, I think the first thing we should do is we must go and look at this house at least. We need to see where this event took place. Then we will talk to this Elizabeth, the antiques dealer, and Emile, this parapsychologist.
What even is a parapsychologist?
I guess that's kind of like an assistant to a psychologist. I don't know. Maybe a parapsychologist, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he's the man who said that it was a suicide, even though it couldn't have been.
I know that. I know the way Jorge would have handled this. He would have sent a couple of men over in the dead of night with some cans of gasoline and burned the house to the ground.
Well, we could do that, but it may be a very short scenario. Out of character.
Oh no, you can do that. That's totally fine.
I don't think they're gonna like if we play the game that way.
If they want answers, and if we do that, we can't give them any answers. All we could say is that the house mysteriously burned down and we don't understand why. And then they'd probably look at us and try to put us in prison for arson. And they wouldn't be wrong, but
I cannot go to prison. There are too many people there who know my face. If this is the game we must play, we will play it. And I will turn and look significantly at the camera as I say that.
Nice. So is the group happy with the plan that Ronaldo laid out to go sort of look at the house and then go talk to the two contacts that were outlined for you? Sure. Or do you want to split up at all, or everyone's going to travel together? All right. So who's driving?
not me. I already got lost once.
Ronaldo, of course.
Yeah, I guess Veronica smashed up her car recently, right? So it's going to have to be Ronaldo.
I'm gonna try and drive. I want to drive. A little fender bender doesn't put me off. That wasn't my fault.
So you're going to try and convince everyone to get into your car?
Well, not that car. That one's wrecked. Ronaldo, give me the keys. I'm driving.
Do you want to roll to demand what you deserve?
If they're not going to give me the keys, then absolutely.
I will go, yes, but only because of the lingering passion between us.
And I take the keys from your hand and then push you away and say, you're sitting in the back. You need to cool off for a bit.
Does that mean it? Oh, yeah.
I was just going to say, are you angling for that move?
Which move? I don't know.
I'm not actually making a move. I'm just trying to follow the format of the...
So you could, it could be that you strike out at someone with violence when you shove Ronaldo away.
Oh, Veronica? No, I don't think I'm striking out in that instance. This is more of a, this is not malicious or anything.
Okay.
We're not going to turn the dial that hard quite yet.
Okay. And does that mean that Esme takes the front seat, or will you stay in the back with Ronaldo?
I'm definitely going to sit in the front seat with next to Veronica, because I figure at least maybe this is a chance for me to hold Veronica's hand.
I'll allow it. I feel like we've got to be in like
in the middle of the back seat with the.
I was say it's got to be like a BMW convertible or something. Driving to New Jersey, apparently.
Uh-huh. Ronaldo, do you react when you see the two hands sort of connect across the gear shift?
He does, but he keeps his passion to himself.
All right. So it doesn't take you too long to get from the meeting room out to Spooner Avenue. I'm not sure if you're like pulling up outside or just driving by, but basically what you'll see is a sort of old but unremarkable house. Looks like it was built in the early 1900s. Looks pretty typical of a house of that era. It's been renovated since, like that's visible. There's a big gable window in the front. There's a porch. Looks like a 2-car garage. Are you wanting to like get out and go and have a closer look, or are you just sort of getting a sense of it? Like what's happening here?
I'm pulling the car up into the driveway as if we were pulling up at home and parking it. Car off. I'll toss the keys back to Ronaldo. Say, it's a pretty good drive. Not too bad. Once my car's back, though, I think I'll prefer it. Well, let's get this going. Let's go have a look. Find and see where these ghosts are at.
Okay, first off, house maintained, run down, lawn mowed, shaggy.
Yeah, the lawn's probably a little shaggy, but the house looks pretty well maintained, at least from the outside. There's some ivy growing on one of the walls. But yeah, it's neat enough.
Okay. Try the front door. Or actually, I'll knock on the door first.
So there's no answer as you knock. Can I just check, are the three of you all up on the porch there together, or has Ronaldo gone on ahead?
Well, I was walking up there whether they were following me or not. So
Sure.
I'm looking around the neighborhood.
Okay. Looking around like you're just looking, or you're going to go try and talk to a neighbor or something like that? Or
At this point, I'm standing in the driveway looking around the neighborhood, trying to see if it looks like anybody might be home that I could go ask questions of.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Veronica, who are you joining?
I don't think I noticed Esme turned and went to look at the neighborhood. So I'm standing behind Ronaldo as they're knocking on the door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of, half-heartedly glancing through the windows, also looking at my phone to see, has anyone liked anything recently on Twitter?
Nice. All right. So, Ronaldo, there's no answer when you knock at the door. And then if you try the handle, you'll find that it is locked. What do you want to do?
None of us know how to pick a lock, do we?
I feel like it's plausible to me that you know how to pick a lock or at least force a door.
Ronaldo, just break it open. Isn't that what you learned to do when you were a cop?
I was trying to be a little more subtle.
What's subtle about any of this?
I'm going to walk around to the back door.
Okay. Veronica, are you going to go with him? Sorry.
Yeah, I think I let out a sigh and I kind of trudge along behind, still looking on the phone.
Yeah. So
is the back door also locked?
Yeah, the back door is also locked. There's another porch out the back. It's pretty nice. There's a decent sized backyard.
I look under the mat. Is there a key there?
Yes, there is a key under the back mat.
Oh, really? Okay. I will take the key and unlock the back door.
Okay. And the two of you head inside? All right. So we'll come back to you. Okay. So, Esme, as you sort of look around the neighborhood, you get the sense that quite a lot of people are home. I assume we're talking about a kind of mid-afternoonish time. We didn't really clarify that before, but still plenty of daylight. It looks like from what you can tell, it looks like a neighborhood mostly of older people, so lots of retirees, lots of people who are home during the day. You can probably at least see a couple of people who are out on their front porches, just sitting or maybe doing some gardening and things like that.
I've made sure to put my glasses on and to pin my hair up so that I look as plain as possible.
Nice.
Although, of course, still just staggeringly gorgeous because, of course.
Of course.
But in the context of the show, I'm now plain.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to approach any of the neighbors, or what will you do now?
I want to start asking any of the neighbors that I see if they have a moment. Because
Yeah.
I've heard that this house is for sale, and I'm looking at buying it, and I'm wondering what they can tell me about it.
All right. So I think that the nearest person that you approach is a woman sitting out on her front porch in a rocker.
Mm-hmm.
She's reasonably happy to talk. She introduces herself as Marianne. She seems surprised when you say that you're thinking of buying the house. I don't know that you want to do that. Bad things seem to happen to people who buy that house.
Oh no! Like what?
Well, you probably saw in the local news the last gentleman passed away just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no, ma'am. I'm just looking at moving here. I just got a job here, and I'm trying to find a nice, safe neighborhood, a nice, quiet neighborhood. You know how it is for young women.
She nods. She does understand. This is a safe enough neighborhood these days, but that house, absolutely not. No. You need to find yourself another residence. I'm sorry.
Could you tell me what happened? Yeah, like I said, I'm just looking. I just got a job here. I'm looking at moving here. I'm staying in a hotel near the city right now.
What happened? Well, which time? I've lived here since the 60s, and I've seen. And she starts counting on her fingers. She says, "Look, I don't know how many people have passed away in that house just since I've lived here."
Goodness gracious!
So there's some older women around here who remember even further back, and the stories they could tell you. Well,
goodness gracious! Can you think of anyone offhand who would be able to tell me more? You've already been such a huge help.
Let's see. She sort of looks up and down the street. She thinks it out. She says, "Well, look, I'm not sure if she'll be up to speaking. She's getting on. She's 92, I think. 92. Yes, her birthday just passed. Imogen Klasky." And she points you down, sort of points away off this street. It's actually the house behind 1206 Spooner Avenue. Says Imogen lived there for 80 years. She knows everything that's gone on in this neighborhood. If you don't believe me, well, you talk to Imogen. She'll set you straight.
Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's lovely meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well.
And when Esme, finishes this conversation, is she going to go head over to Imogen's, or does she want to go and find the others? What are you going to do next?
Yeah, I think I'll head back over to the house and report what I've just heard, and note that it goes back even farther than that. And there's another source on the street who can apparently tell us even more. All
right. So you'll catch up with them in a minute, but they will have. We'll just have some scenes of them inside the house first. So, Ronaldo and Veronica, you head in through the back door. The house it looks like it hasn't been occupied for some time. It's quite dusty, but things are reasonably neat and tidy. It's fully furnished. I think as you head in the back door, you're in the sort of kitchen area, and you can see that there are pots and pans. There's, everything that someone would need to live here. There's a fridge, although it's not running. What do you want to do?
Is there power? You said the fridge is not running.
Yeah, I think you'll find that the power is shut off.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to open the fridge because I don't know what might be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have like flashlights or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you've at least got mobile phones that'll have flashlights on them.
Okay. So there's no evidence that anybody's been in here anytime recently. You said there's like dust and everything.
Yeah, I mean, the last that you know of is that Agent Donnelly's body was found here about 2 weeks ago, and it's pretty consistent with that. Although it looks like nobody's lived here for a longer time.
Okay, but there's no food sitting out or anything like that.
No, nothing like that.
Okay. Trying to think of where we might want to check. I guess we start making our way into the house.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
Veronica is looking for the secret cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced that this is some weird, like, prank reality show or something, and so I'm checking the corners, looking in cabinets.
Yeah, I mean, in the kitchen, you definitely have a feeling of being watched that probably like fits with your sense that there must be hidden cameras somewhere, but you're not finding those cameras.
And as I'm looking, I start chatting to Ronaldo and saying, now that I've noticed Esme is not around us, Ronaldo, what are we going to do about Esme? When everything that happened, I think she's involved somehow. I think she had something to do with the entire fiasco, and that she's part of why we're here now. Do you get that sense?
I've known Esme for a long time, and it hurts me to say this, but yes, given her position, she must have known more than she lets on. She was not just she was there too long and too often. She was not just an innocent caught up in their plans. She must have known.
And I pause, and I turn and I look at Ronaldo, and I see him in his nice shirt, the muscles shining. And then I say, Ronaldo, do you remember that one time on the cruise ship? Do you ever think of it?
Every night.
And I'm going to express my love passionately as I move towards Ronaldo.
Well, are you the center of attention?
Yeah, I think so.
I buy that. Are you dressed to impress?
I am. I am currently wearing a nice, like very, very nice blouse that's not too professional, but at the same time, like isn't super casual, and some like, very like, you can tell they're like tailored jeans with some nice shoes on.
Nice. And does Ronaldo believe that you are single?
I don't think so. He saw the hand holding in the car.
Yeah. All right. Well, rolling at +2 then.
All right, that is 11.
You're on fire with the dice today. So on a 10+, they also tell you whether they love you or not, and who else they love. Ronaldo.
I take her in my arms and I say, you were the one that I compare everyone else to. I have known Esme, but she cannot compare to you and never will.
And just as we're about to kiss, I push Ronaldo away again. I say, no, we can't. Not until we've done something about Esme.
So, Esme, I wonder.
Probably about this point, Esme walks in.
Well, I don't know if Esme walks in or might want to reveal that she's been
Keys to the
secretly
castle.
listening this whole time. Yeah.
Absolutely keys to the castle.
I
So are you?
was gonna say, I also have Ice Queen to trigger.
Ah,
I can
yeah,
inflict
right.
a condition on Ronaldo.
Oh, nice. Well, let's just resolve keys to the castle first, and then we'll do.
Actually, go ahead and handle Ice Queen first.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm totally fine revealing that I was listening the entire time in a moment.
All right. So you inflict a condition on Ronaldo. So Ronaldo, what condition do you want to mark? As Veronica shoves you away again. So you're muted.
Thank you. I was saying I want to say obsessed because her pushing me away just drives my passion for her even stronger.
Nice. All right. And then Esme, tell us about...
Oh, you wanted to tell you what keys to the castle is?
Well, I was just going to say, tell us, are you in over your head?
Oh, I am absolutely in over my head. I mean, look at what I just... Listen, you heard this? Both of my loves plotting against me?
It's a rough time.
Well, we're on some sort of horrible investigation that when we're not investigators, and I haven't even found out how bad it is yet, but I know it's really bad and has been bad since the 1960s. Yes, I meant over my head.
Do you work here?
Since we're doing an investigation on this site, I think that suffices.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And are you dressed to blend in?
I showed up dressed in basically like it's probably down market workplace attire, but it's, gray slacks and the most professional looking blouse I could afford. So, I think that, considering we weren't given uniforms, that's about as close as I can be to innocuous in this neighborhood.
Yeah. I agree. So roll it +3.
All right. Modifier +3.
Nice. So on a 7 to 9, you get away, but someone saw you. Pick who?
So here's a weird question. Does it have to be Veronica or Ronaldo?
Well, is there someone else that you're thinking might have seen you?
I mean, certainly one of the neighbors could have perhaps come in to see what we're doing there, since, you know how neighbors can be nosy and curious, and seen me kind of listening around the corner.
Can I suggest as an alternative? I'm happy with it being a neighbor if you'd like to go with that. It could also be that some sort of mysterious presence in the house is the one who saw you.
That works.
If you're happy with that.
The key here is that I'm completely aware it's part of the move to have someone be aware of it. I would like at this moment to keep it from being the player character, the characters.
Yeah, that works for me. I mean, as long as you're happy with me being a little mysterious about who or what exactly has seen you.
That's totally okay.
All right. So then
I get not wanting the two people involved to be the one.
Yeah.
So whereabouts, where are you in this scene as you overhear them without them noticing?
Okay, so we don't have a map of the house. So theater of the mind style, are you talking like a family room where I could be hiding around the door, where I could be hiding around the corner like I heard you talking about having to do something about me and just flatten myself against the wall to listen?
You would probably be on the back porch because as I understood it, Veronica and I had gone into the kitchen. She was looking around for bugs or cameras, I was about to leave, and that's when she suddenly made her move. So we would have still been in the kitchen, so you may be on the back porch, just outside.
Okay, so I'm going to walk about 10, 15 paces back toward the street and loudly yell, "Thank you! Thank you for the help. I appreciate it." And then walk toward the back door.
And when I hear that, right, I scramble away from Ronaldo and kind of correct myself and get my composure back.
Nice.
And you see Ronaldo take a deep breath as he composes himself again.
All right, and then Esme, you head on inside.
There was this delightful, she seems too nice to live in this neighborhood next to this horrible house, but she was across the street and she told me that these things have been going on here since the 1960s. And there's somebody else who lives in the area who says it's been going on, who has been here since, they're 92. They've lived here since they were 12. They've lived here 80 years and they know even more.
Esme, it's all a made-up story.
Why? How would these people here be involved in making up a story?
They're all actors. You'll see. We're gonna bust this open and show that this is just some elaborate ruse that they've put on.
Well, like the Truman Show?
This is a
Yeah.
plot. This is a plot because they don't believe we have told them everything we know. They're just trying to make us reveal more.
Well, the kitchen seems clean, so I'm going to go check the family room.
Yes, I was going to walk towards the front of the house. Perhaps we can check the mail or anything like that to see if there's anything suspicious in it.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you sort of explore the house, you fairly quickly find the place that Agent Donnelly died. There's still a pretty substantial blood stain on the carpet. But other than that, there's nothing particularly suspicious or odd that you find in exploring the house. The mail, there's, junk mail has accumulated in the mailbox as you'd expect. But again, there's nothing particularly telling or surprising that you find.
Does it look like someone was actually living in the house, or had he just come here for some reason and died?
You don't think that he was living here. The furnishings just don't strike you as the sort of furnishings or appliances that would belong to an older male FBI agent. There's this, a more feminine touch. There's a lot of things that you kind of recognize vaguely as Middle Eastern. Things like the spices and things like that don't seem like what you'd expect from a middle-aged white man in America. So it seems like the belongings here are from a previous owner or occupant.
How would we find out anything about the previous owners? Well, I guess we could talk to the neighbors like Esme had been doing.
I think that you probably, off the top of your head, you could talk to the neighbors. You could look up some city records at town hall. You could look at, local news archives or something like that might have some information.
Okay.
Or you have, the contacts for an antique dealer. They might know something about the history of the house as well.
Yeah, sure. Actually, why don't we try the antique dealer? How late in the day is it?
Like mid-afternoon.
Okay, let's head back over to the antique dealer. Elizabeth Tucker?
Elizabeth Tucker, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll head over there. I'll keep the key to the house with me and lock the door behind me.
All right. Esme, are you happy with that plan?
I'm going to walk around the neighborhood a little bit more.
Okay.
Ostensibly to talk to other people and see if they know anything else, but also to think about what I've overheard, because this is troubling.
All right. And Veronica, are you going to go with Ronaldo?
Can I say, perhaps as we're discussing our next plans and where we're going about, can I spot something out of place with Esme?
Oh, well, you can certainly try. So, what do we have here? Are you the center of attention?
So I'm imagining, yeah, we've kind of like all come back together after searching through the different points of the house. Probably not in this circumstance because we're not discussing me, we're discussing the house.
Have you been intimate with this person recently?
I think so. Esme, do you agree with that?
Yeah, like certainly holding hands in the car, I think, is close enough.
Are you free of other distractions?
I'm going to say yes, and I think it's yes because I don't think Veronica takes this whole thing very seriously and is more concerned about Esme.
Okay, yeah, I'll buy that. So go ahead and roll with +2. 7. So you can ask 2 questions, and Esme can ask you 1 too. Or if it's convenient, maybe we can take our break here and you can have a minute to think about it.
That'd be useful because I did not look ahead at the questions at all. That would be too easy.
Well, can we take another 10-minute break and we'll come back about 9 minutes past the hour? Great.
Works for me.
So let's start with Elizabeth Tucker. So, Ronaldo. Oh yeah.
I had
sorry.
my questions.
Yes. Sorry,
Yeah, no worries.
I got ahead of myself. So please go ahead.
So my first question for Puckett is: how does your character feel about the collapse of the cartel?
Conflicted. On the one hand, relieved because that part of her life is over and she can't go back. And it was a truly terrifying time. But she doesn't think that anyone should have died the way that Jorge did. So it's mixed. It's not like she wants to go back, and she knows there's a lot of bad people who did a lot of bad things, but Jorge was kind. I mean, to her. I mean, there are probably literally hundreds of other people who cannot say anything even remotely close to that about him, but he was kind to her.
And my second question is: how can I get your character to protect me?
Oof. To be in a truly dangerous situation when it's absolutely clear to everyone involved that you have no idea what's actually going on. Which I think is kind of how Veronica goes through life anyway.
I think so.
I was going to say, we're playing a Delta Green scenario. That's called Thursday.
Pretty much. But more oblivious than an average Delta Green, because I mean, in an average Delta Green scenario, they at least know they're up against something that's kind of hinky, whereas Veronica just thinks this is all a big show. So is that fair? Is that a good answer for you?
Fair. Yep.
All right.
Sorry, went a bit out of character there, but that's.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an OOC discussion.
And Esme,
what are you planning? Because I know you're planning something at this point.
I think at this point I am planning to stir the pot and see who seems like, how do I phrase this? Essentially what I just asked, like, who's going to take care of Veronica? Who's going to step up? And my plan to get there is by stirring the pot.
Okay, so basically you're looking for your best road out of this mess.
Yeah.
Like cleanest and quickest.
Yeah, or most productive, or, I'll know it when I see it.
Your exit strategy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Cool. So, Ronaldo and Veronica, you head on over to the little antique shop run by Elizabeth Tucker. Again, you've been told that she's friendly to the project. She knows a little about what's going on, but you should still be, circumspect about exactly how much you tell her. But she's alone in the shop as you come in. You see a pretty standard array of antique furnishings and things like that spread around the store. You see a strikingly beautiful young woman with red hair sitting behind the counter. What do you do?
I will walk up to her and go, Ms. Tucker?
Well, yes. Who's asking?
I am Ronaldo.
Are you the antiques dealer? You're far too pretty to be dealing antiques.
I think she'll blush a little, but she says, "Why, I am the antiques dealer." She looks around the antique store.
I had an image in my mind of someone a lot older than you.
She's might get that a lot. A little puffed up by the flattery. Can I help you too?
Yes. We are you familiar with And okay, I went blank. What was the name of the guy who died?
Agent Donnelly.
Are you familiar with a man named Mr. Donnelly?
I don't think I. Oh, was he that man who passed away recently at the
Yes.
old Wheeler house?
At the Wheeler House, yes.
Well, no, I didn't know him. I'm sorry.
Okay, we've been asked to. There were a few questions from his family regarding his passing, and we were told that you were someone who may have been familiar with him or with the Wheeler House.
She thinks about it. She says, look, I really didn't know Agent Donnelly at all. I looked into the Wheeler house a little for a client one time. I tracked down some of the original furnishings. I might be able to, answer some questions along those lines, but I don't know that it would be very helpful to you.
Was there anything unusual you understood about the house? We are told that it seems to be a place that attracts death.
She again looks thoughtful. She says, "Look, I don't really know anything like that. I know there's been some beautiful furnishings that have come out of that place. I bet there's still some fascinating old fittings. I would love to take a look at it sometime, but I don't think I can really tell you anything. Let me show you something." And she leads you over to a sort of corner of the store. It's a little hard to get to. It's behind some sort of twists and turns in the little alleys that are carved out amongst the old furnishings. And she shows you what does she show you? An old end table. This is from the Wheeler house. I was collecting some of the original furnishings, or trying to, for a previous owner, but sadly she passed away before she could collect it.
Do I see anything unusual about this end table?
Yeah, so it's quite beautiful. It's obviously was expensive and valuable, even at the time that it was made. There's a kind of strange patterning around the edges. There's a kind of enamel decoration that has this sort of complex interweaving design. At first looking like something geometric, but then as you look closer, you realize they're actually stylized people dancing. And there's a recurring element in this design of a dark man who's bigger than the rest, who seems to be leading the dance. It has a bit of a quality of like those magic eye pictures where you think you're looking at one sort of geometric thing and then it resolves into this stronger image.
Okay. Okay.
Veronica, are you just sort of tagging along at this point? Like, what are you doing?
I think you hear a click from my phone as I'm taking a picture of it, and saying, "Oh, it's not my style, but it's not bad." You said it's part of a collection. So there's more pieces like this.
I think the original furnishings in the house were all in this style, sort of Southern Italian, turn of the century or older. But no, I don't have any other pieces. I was just trying to find them for a buyer.
This motif of dancers here, is this something you have seen before or are familiar with?
So she looks closely, as you pointed out. She says, "Well, you're right. I never noticed that before. It does look like they are dancing, aren't they?" I think as she looks closer and she sort of pokes at it, there's a clicking sound as the three slats of wood that compose the surface of the table just sort of separate and start to open as she pokes at the motif that runs around the edges. She gasps, surprised. And you realize there's a little hidden compartment in the end table.
Is there anything in the hidden compartment?
Yeah, if you reach in, you'll find three things. There is a small, sharp bronze knife. There is a bronze bowl that is clotted on the inside with some sort of dark old dirt or something. And there is a small notebook that looks to be a diary. All of this looks quite old, many decades old.
If I open the diary and start flipping through, what kinds of writings and things are there inside?
At a quick glance, you'll see that it's a diary that belonged to an Isabel Wheeler. It seems to cover a period from about 1927 through 1955. I guess if you sort of flick to the end, you'll see that the last few entries reflect her deteriorating health. If you take some more time to read through it, you can, probably get some more information from it. But that's kind of what you get at a glance.
Yeah, this diary is actually super interesting to me, and so I'm gonna try and hold on to it and spend some time reading through it.
Okay, how are you going to try and convince Elizabeth to let you keep it?
I'll just ask her, how much for this stuff? I mean, you didn't even know it was in there, so you can't really have a price on it, right? But
do you want to demand what you deserve?
Yeah, sure.
I was going to suggest either demand what you deserve or accuse someone of lying, because we know from our handler that she has been with the program before. So she probably knows more than she's letting on. So maybe we can convince her that we're helping, this is part of the investigation and we're with the people who have worked with her before.
Yeah, I think either of those work as a demand what you deserve type prompt, unless there's something specific that she said that you think is a lie.
The thing I was going to call her on before she let us back was she said, I don't really know anything about the house, and we were specifically given her as a reference to talk about the house.
All right. Well, yeah. All right. I'll just resolve Veronica's move, and then we can talk about whether you want to accuse her of lying. So Veronica, go ahead and demand what you deserve.
So let's see. Am I the center of attention? I think in this moment, I think I make myself the center of attention by, like, when this compartment reveals itself, I squeal with joy and jump forward and grab the diary up and I'm like, this is so cool. How much for this? And as I turn to her, I'm just like, I have to have this.
Mm-hmm. All right. You are offering something of value in return. You're offering to buy it.
Yep.
But I don't think that she loves you in this moment.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I could offer my love. I'll make eyes at her. Oh, well. Okay, so I think just the two.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
All right, 13.
So remove one of her options and she'll choose one.
Well, I will remove they refuse and escalate.
Okay. Yeah, so she'll concede. She's not going to run away from her shop. So she
could run away to the office or something.
Yeah. No, she'll let you buy those goods. She quickly sort of calculates the value for them, but she'll let you buy them.
I say, that's fantastic. He'll take care of it, and then I run out the door with the diary.
We did negotiate an expense account, remember?
So yeah, you can pay it out of the expense account.
So the program is going to pay for it.
Well, they're going to negotiate something. So, Ronaldo, do you follow Veronica out, or do you want to accuse Elizabeth of lying?
I'm going to accuse her of lying because I'm basically going to say, look, we were sent here by a program. They told us that you were someone specifically to investigate this house. and the death of one of their agents. We were told that you were someone who could provide us information. Specifically, you. So, what do you know about this house?
All right. So it seems to me that you probably are acting head on and without guile.
Yes.
Do you have an audience? I guess,
no, because Veronica ran away.
Yeah. Do you have evidence?
Nothing that I can show her, but we were told and given this address specifically.
Yeah, I buy that. So roll it +2.
Okay. And watch my luck fail finally. Total of 8.
All right. So you could choose one from that list.
I'm going to go with they admit their falsehood or market condition.
All right. So she will start to stutter out that you're right, but we'll come back to this scene, and I just want to go and check in with Esme as you sort of head around the neighborhood.
You head around the neighborhood. I'm rolling keys to the castle.
Oh, okay. I beg your pardon. Go ahead.
So I'm pretty sure I'm still in over my head. Do I work here? No, I don't. But am I dressed to blend in? And
Technically,
I think
you do work here because we were assigned to this position.
You know what? I will happily let somebody else argue for a +1 for me.
I mean, I don't really buy that you work at the antique store specifically, if that's the conversation that you're trying to overhear.
She's not at the antique store. She's back in the neighborhood.
But wait.
No, I'm rolling keys to the castle. I am at the antique store listening into the conversation that you and Veronica are having with...
Oh, I did not know you would go into the antique store. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. It's this is the way keys to the castle works. I can basically just show up anywhere at any time without explanation and just peek around a corner like, I heard that.
Yeah, none of us knew she was there until she announced the move.
Yeah. But dress to blend in, on the other hand, I think that still applies.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so there's 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Nice.
So I'm just going to let you go ahead and have the rest of your conversation before I figure out what to do.
All right. So just like check in anytime if you decide that you want to work the result of the move. So Ronaldo, Elizabeth will sort of sputter out, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were with the program. Would have been a whole different approach." Well, look, I mean, what can I tell you? That house, it's infamous around here. It sells constantly. Like, it's turned over more times it's been there for 100 years. It must have had more owners than most houses that have been around twice that. A lot of deaths, absolutely a lot of deaths associated with that place. Beyond that, are there specific things that you want to know? What can I tell you?
Is there any pattern to the deaths? Are people... I mean, the agent who died had his throat cut.
Mm-hmm. They say it was a suicide, but so did the previous owner. Patterns to the deaths, I don't know that there is exactly. A lot of them have been ruled as suicides, but the fact that you're asking me these questions makes me think that might not be the whole truth.
Obviously, they want us to get to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm.
And we will. And why does my camera keep going out of focus? But so there's nothing. Is there anything in the history of the house or the previous owners that might indicate any cause for this? I mean, you had one piece of their furniture. Is there?
Well, I mean, people tell a pretty strange story about the woman who was the first one to live there, Isabel Wheeler. I think that was her diary that your friend just took away.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband built the house. I mean, for the two of them, I think it was the early 1900s. He died not long after that. Just a tragic accident. He was a stonemason. Had an accident at work and was killed. People thought that would be the end for her as well. She'd been sick her whole life without a husband to support her. Well, she seemed to get on okay. And then, 20 years after he died, she made a miraculous recovery. Nobody really understood what had happened. But, yeah, she was much better, fully recovered, out of her wheelchair, walking around. She had a nurse she was very close to. So people in the neighborhood didn't seem to like the nurse, but from what I can tell, that was just, superstition and prejudice. Then eventually the nurse left, and not long after that, she passed away.
Do you, Veronica, you only took the diary, right? You are an antiquarian. You know things. I hold up the bowl and the knife. Do these mean anything to you?
I mean, she looks at them and she makes some sort of general remarks about their provenance, but she doesn't tell you anything that's helpful.
Okay. Do I think what's inside the bowl is dried blood?
I don't know. Do you?
I'm asking. Well, I do. I'm just asking, do I have any way to establish that?
I mean, I don't think that you could. There's any way that you could really establish that for a fact, but I think it's pretty plausible that Ronaldo has reached that conclusion.
Yes, Ronaldo has reached that conclusion. He has now decided that this is a bit more serious than he was taking it.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing that she tells you about the house is that, she's heard from from other people who've been in the antiques trade that quite a lot of the previous owners have been concerned to restore the original furnishings. There was a guy in the 80s, she can't remember his name, but he spent quite a lot of money restoring the mirrors in the master bedroom. Just a bit unusual, stands out to her because most people, especially back in the 80s, wanted a more contemporary style for these sorts of things.
Yes, I think mirrors on the ceiling went out in the 70s, didn't they?
I just want to check, Esme, are you still just taking all this in?
Absolutely. I am listening and soaking in all the information I can.
All right. I just want to check in with Veronica as well for a second. So you've gone outside, you're just waiting, starting to flick through the diary?
I've climbed into the back of the convertible, and I'm sitting sideways in the seat with my feet up over the side of the car as I start flipping through the diary. I'm weirdly into historical texts. It's a thing people don't understand about me, and so I'm really into reading this diary.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll come back to you then. Ronaldo, is there anything else that you want to ask Elizabeth?
I am going to hold up the bowl and the knife and say, we will take these to be examined. I will bring them back to you.
Yeah, she'll accept that.
Okay. I'm not trying to steal them. I don't really want them. I just want to be able to ask somebody else about them.
Well, I mean, it's like your friend said, I didn't even know they were there. So, yeah, you're welcome to them.
Yes, I'm going to take them to a pseudo-psychiatrist to look.
Yeah. He looks a little confused. Says, okay, you take them wherever you need to take them.
Well, He doesn't know what a parapsychologist is. So.
Yeah. All right. And then you're going to head off?
I'm going to head off with the bowl and the knife.
All right. Esme, do you just let Ronaldo leave?
Yep.
All right.
And then I'm going to, after a decent enough amount of time for them, watch through the windows, make sure they drive away, then I'm going to lock the front door of the shop and go back to have a chat with Elizabeth.
All right. And what do you say to her?
Do I catch her by surprise? Did she think anybody else was in there?
Yeah, you definitely catch her by surprise. She probably hears the latch click on the door, but she thought she was alone in the shop, so she's visibly surprised as you approach.
I don't know if my colleagues mentioned that I was also on this case.
Oh.
I don't think that either of them are taking it as seriously as they should. I heard them in the house plotting.
Plotting?
They're in love with each other. And one of them is saying that the only way they can be together is if the other takes me out. So I need to know everything that you know about that house. It is literally a matter of life and death. My life and my death.
Well, why don't you demand what you deserve to see if she will tell you everything?
Well, that escalated quickly.
All right, demand. Am I offering something of value in return? Is the knowledge that she could be saving someone's life valuable to her?
No, I don't think that it is, because we're not quite sure yet if she buys that your life is in danger.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to escalate this a little bit more. So I'm going to reach behind my back and pull out the sidearm.
Wow.
And point it at her head and say, and I need to know that you're telling me the truth.
All right.
Does that get me the +1?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, pulling a gun on a friendly, yeah, but I'm reasonably sure they don't love me in this moment.
I think that's fair to say.
But considering that I'm being plotted against, it's a murder house. I've overheard all sorts of weird arcane stuff dating back 100 years, and I'm now pointing a gun at an antique stealer's head. I really feel like I'm in over my head.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, funny how just adding a gun to the empleada just basically means, yep, you're always in over your head now.
All right. So that's +2?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, do you want to take one away?
Yeah, I want to take away refuse and escalate.
It's probably for the best. All right.
I mean, at this point, escalation would probably wind up with a bullet through the brain pan, and that would probably go badly for everyone involved, which would be great for the game. But
all right. So
think of the audience numbers.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that when we cut for a commercial, after she said, and I need to make sure you're telling the truth, that the audience numbers spiked as people were like, oh my God, Esme just pulled a gun on the antique dealer.
Right. So she raises her hands in sort of, surrender. She says, oh, okay, this, I'm happy to tell you, you don't, oh my God, you didn't need to, I would have told you.
And I'll put the gun down and I'll rub my temple and say, I will actually start breaking down in tears.
Aw.
And I want to go for confession here.
Okay.
Because, I mean, this is really starting to weigh on me. I mean, I just pulled a gun on a perfect stranger who was only trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being plotted against. So, when you tell someone of your wrongdoings, roll with the questions, do you view the other as pure of heart? And I think I do. She's young. She's telling us everything that she knows. She's working with the program. You know, she's obviously somebody who's aware that there are unusual things going on, maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
is trying to help.
Yeah.
So, do I invoke religion or family? Oh, I'm definitely going to invoke my close personal relationship with our Lord and Savior. I was always a good church-going girl, even during those long months when I was working with Jorge. Every Sunday, I still made it down to the church in the village. You know,
Nice.
and the priest still took my confession, still gave me communion. I always said, you can always come back. You know, that as long as you have a true penitent heart, Jesus will always redeem you. And
Beautiful.
so I'm just sharing all this with her. As I'm saying, I'm so sorry. I've been hearing horrible stories about that house from the neighbors. They were in there. They were talking about how to get rid of me. I don't know what to do, and I don't know who to turn to. And I'm so sorry that I pulled that gun on you.
We'll go ahead and roll confession.
And that the +3 modifier, considering I'm in over my head.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
Okay. Well, let's come back to you in the antique store, but
Sure.
let's catch up with Ronaldo and Veronica.
Yeah,
So you pull
our
up.
die karma had to catch up with us at some point.
Yeah, I was just thinking that nobody had rolled a miss for the whole session. So Ronaldo and Veronica, do you want to talk to each other in the car, or do you just want to frame ahead to the scene with the parapsychologist?
We can talk to each other in the car.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to say to Veronica?
Did you find anything in the diary?
I don't know. Have I found anything in the diary yet?
So I think not so much so far. Maybe there's a bit of an account, like, because I assume that, you know, you had a quick flip through and now you're maybe working through from the start to the finish. So what will you have found in the early parts of the diary? So the diary starts up after her husband had already been killed. In fact, it takes up after she has recovered from her illness because, you know, Ronaldo's probably told you a little bit about what he had. She recounts a fairly happy life. Occasionally complaints from the neighbours about the growing number of members of the Di Vitello family who are coming to stay with her. And you start to put together that this was the nurse. So she had this nurse that she liked a lot, Adele Di Vitello, and she doesn't mention it directly, but more and more members of this Di Vitello family are coming to stay with her. That's causing problems in the neighbourhood. It's clear that partly that's about, you know, immigrant prejudices of the time. But, you know, the neighbours are making some strange accusations and complaints. There's talk that pets are going missing and things like that, and this family is being blamed. I think that's probably what you've gotten from the diary so far.
Yeah, so I'll share all of that and say it's just normal gossip. I love it.
I'm beginning to think this may not be entirely a test. There might be something more to this than them trying to find information on us.
What, because we found some old rumors in a diary and you've got a dirty bowl and a letter opener?
I am concerned that this may go deeper than we believe. There is a secret here, and I must find it. We are going to visit this pseudo-psychiatrist, and perhaps he can tell us something about this knife and this bowl and those weird dancing people. They disturbed me.
I think I might strike out with my voice.
Oh. How so?
I just sort of blow up in the car, going on about you're just losing sight of it all. You're getting sucked into this whole idea. You always do this, Ronaldo. You get caught up in these fantasies of, your righteousness, and you've got to go and solve the world's problems. You lose sight of what's really important. You're not thinking about us right now.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll. So have you caught Ronaldo off guard?
I'm off guard, yeah.
I don't know that they just wronged me.
I don't think they've just wronged you.
But I do think I'm the center of attention in this.
You are, definitely.
So I think it's a +2. All right, and that's a 13.
Oh, nice. So on a hit, you each mark a condition.
And then I may also take something from them or avoid marking a condition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with marking a condition, so I think I want to take something. I'm gonna mark zealous.
Nice.
What can I take from Ronaldo? I am open to suggestions.
Well, while you're thinking, do I mark a condition also?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm going to pick cornered.
Great.
Because I'm going to have to choose between Veronica and solving this case, it sounds like.
Yeah, that is a precarious position.
My quest for justice or my passion for Veronica.
Maybe you take away his sense of righteousness?
Can you do that?
I don't want to do that. I want to leave that, in, because I like this quandary that you've got set up with Ronaldo. So I think if I can, I will delay the taking. I'll say when we get to the parapsychologist, I'm going to take the keys.
The car keys or the house keys?
The car keys.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you arrive, the two of you head in to see Emil, the pseudo-psychiatrist. We'll come back to you. I just want to check in with Esme for a minute. So Esme, you sort of, confess to Elizabeth, who is sort of torn between not feeling especially sympathetic to you after you pulled a gun on her, but not wanting you to shoot her, so wanting to placate you to an extent. I think I'll get you to mark a condition.
Okay. How does... I mean, I think at this point, all three remaining conditions fit. I could be lovelorn, because these two people who are my loves are plotting against me. I could be introspective, reflecting on my conduct and pulling a gun on a perfect stranger. I could feel hopeless because this all seems like a mess that's too big for me to untangle. I could also be lovelorn because, as you pointed out, she's quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm. What are you thinking?
You know what? Let's crank this up to a 5-alarm dumpster fire. I'm going to mark lovelorn and then promptly express my love passionately for her.
Okay, tell us what that sounds like. What do you say?
And as I'm sitting there crying about how this stress is affecting my conduct and my behavior, and she's too good for that sort of. She's a good soul. I can tell. I go to church. I can sense these things. And I know I don't deserve someone like you in my life. But you're the first good person I've met in years, it seems. And I'm going to look up with tearful eyes.
Aw.
And I'm going to very, very lightly reach up and caress the hand on her hand on that's on the desk. Do you think that's enough for the role?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Are you in over your head?
I mean, I'm expressing my love passionately to somebody that I just pulled a gun on.
I think that's pretty compelling. Are you dressed too impressed?
Given that I've described it as like low market sort of professional wear, I mean, you can tell that I'm trying, but you can also tell it's not expensive clothes. I don't think so.
Yeah. Does she believe that you're single?
I don't think she has any reason to not believe that I'm single. And I certainly believe I'm single at this point. I mean, my lovers are plotting against me.
Yeah, I think she believes.
So
and
that's
then with
+2.
Yeah.
And then +1 from the condition lovelorn. So that's a +3.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and roll.
Okay, I'll take it.
So let's see. On a 7 to 9, or on a hit, your target gives themselves to you or reveals a secret they probably shouldn't. I think that she is really touched by this confession of love.
Do I get a
And
choice here?
what? Sure. What choice would you like to make?
Oh, I mean, if it's possible, if there's anything that she didn't tell Ronaldo and Veronica that might actually save my life, I'd like it to be a secret that she probably shouldn't share. Like, maybe she's involved with somebody, or she's touched but not interested, or she's not interested in women or something along those lines. But I mean, I'm totally okay with having a fling with a very attractive redheaded woman in an antique store. So either way is a win.
No, I'm happy with that. She will share a secret that she probably shouldn't with you. She looks again at the gun. She looks a little nervous. And then she reaches under the counter and she comes back out with a set of keys. And the keys are attached to a tag for a local storage facility. And she says, well, look, I was hoping to go and find this myself, but this was Agent Donnelly's storage locker keys, storage unit keys. I think there might be, he was interested in that house. Maybe he had some more valuable antiques, but you probably need these more than I do. And she will hand you the keys to his storage unit.
And I'll say, if I find anything useful for the case, this could save my life. I'll bring these back.
I sure hope your life is saved. And at this point, Esme, your mobile phone will ring. A number that you don't recognize.
Hello?
It's Ronaldo. And he says, Esme, I'm so glad I caught you. Look, I have to talk fast. Veronica will be back any minute. I need to tell you something about well, Veronica's saying some things, but look, we need to talk somewhere private. Why don't you meet me back at 1206 Spooner Avenue after dark and I can tell you everything? I've got to go. And the phone hangs up. And that's where we'll finish up for this week.
Ruh-roh.
So
Nice.
I would love to just do a quick round of stars and wishes before we go. Maybe just again in the order of the character keeper. So, John, why don't you go ahead?
I think stars for Shane for this idea because I just think it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying this melodramatic, slowly building horror situation that we've got, and I can't wait to see it all like explode in the best way. And so stars to Dennis and Puckett for playing into the story, ratcheting it up, having interesting characters. I think in terms of wishes, that's my wish, is to see this all come, falling apart and explode, and have some horrifying situations, and maybe some like player what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict.
Cool. Thank you. Puckett.
Told you we needed Lampliata. Shane, seriously, this is such a fantastic idea. It's so delightfully bonkers that, and I mean that in the best possible way, because I swear I feel like I do something similar to this like at least every other month or so, where it's just like, why would you do that? Like, why would you try to run a Borderlands game in Pasiones? So first of all, hats off to you for thinking of this, and thank you also for being willing to run it again. I'm really, really happy I was able to get in this time. I'm really, really having a blast. So good job. John, I don't like Veronica. Like, I know Esme is supposed to, but I don't like her, man. I don't like her. She's not a good person. I mean, I feel like Hannibal Buress talking at the roast of Justin Bieber about Veronica right now, and got this weird kind of vague thing going. I don't like it. But I love how you're playing the character. Like, come on, this is bullshit. We just need to get out of here and get through this. They're just trying to wrap us up in a lie so they can throw us in prison even after the plea deal. So I like that level of disbelief. So thanks for bringing that. And then Dennis, there's times it's like, I mean, part of this is because you've been running Delta Green for us. I can just like, Dennis is in Delta Green mode. Here's Dennis like approaching this like a tactical investigation. And then you slip right back into Ronaldo. And it's like, Ronaldo is just, he's such the cowboy archetype. Like, I've done bad things in my past and now I have to atone. I must make amends. And you're just like turning right back around. It's like, yeah, sure. Let's throw Esme to the wolves. No problem. So there's, I like what you're doing, because it's like at the same time that you're trying to make amends, there's this cavalier attitude toward the disposition of other people still. And it's like, is Ronaldo quite as far removed from, the bad person he used to be? Is he sliding back into that? I can't wait to find out. And I guess that's what, stay tuned next week.
Yep.
So fantastic job. I'm having a blast.
Any wish or wishes?
I would like both a spectacularly messy, melodramatic ending and an appropriately cosmically horrifying ending. So, whatever you can do to like break our hearts and our minds is like, I'm right there with it.
All right.
So try to break both simultaneously if possible.
That sounds good. Thank you very much. And Dennis.
Well, I have to give a shout out to John, because as Puckett was saying, I was trying to stay on the telenovela side, but the Delta Green side keeps calling to me, and by bringing the interpersonal conflict to the forefront, that really helped focus things on the, yes, we are playing a telenovela, and focus on that. So, yes, thank you. And for my wish is that I don't know who Ronaldo is going to wind up with, but I want this to end like it was the much maligned last season of Game of Thrones, but I want him to be with his true love as the world collapses around him.
Fantastic. I don't know that I'm going to be able to deliver all of these things in the next session, but we'll see how we go. Thanks very much, everyone. I had a really good time. I'm excited for next week and genuinely wishing that I had scheduled some more sessions of this because it's easy to see how it could continue on. But thanks very much. I'll see you all next week.
Thank
Have a
you
great
for
week,
coming up with
everybody.
this idea. This was great.
Bye.
Be well.